Welcome to Earth and Kind Quests. My name is Mike, and this video shares about what might happen when an Oath of Devotion Paladin and a Light Domain Cleric work together to battle against a champion fighter and an Evoker Wizard. All of these characters are at level 8. The encounter follows the rules of the 2024 Player's Handbook in Dungeons & Dragons. In the video text description, you can see the web links for the level 8 character sheets in D&D Beyond. If you have seen other videos in this series of Nemesis Battles, then you know that the characters are not necessarily optimal as combatants. Part of the intention here is to experiment with different kinds of characters. The High Elf Oath of Devotion Paladin is named Vona Navan. With her maximized Charisma ability score, she adds a +5 bonus to all of her spellcasting, as well as to her attack rolls with her Sacred Weapon feature, and to her saving throws with her Aura of Protection. The Paladin's otherworldly steed provides superior mobility. This Paladin's strength ability score is lower than for most other Paladins. Vona Navan operates somewhat differently than what might be expected. The human Light Domain Cleric is named Clara Cloudburn. She can manage well through most combat situations. She relies on the cantrip True Strike for a weapon attack, and she can access a variety of spells, such as Spiritual Weapon, Spirit Guardians, Guiding Bolt, Scorching Ray, Fireball, and more. Defensively, the Light Cleric can use her Warding Flare feature, and she can cast the Shield spell thanks to her Magic Initiate feat. The human champion fighter is named Percy Jones. He brings all of the classic features of a fighter. As a champion subclass of fighter, he scores a critical hit on a 19 or 20 of a d20 attack roll. He gains 2 fighting styles, including dueling for extra weapon damage and defense for slightly higher armor class. Typically, Percy Jones attacks with a trident in one hand for the dueling fighting style. The trident can apply the topple weapon mastery that potentially can knock an opponent prone and grant advantage on melee attacks against the prone target, synergizing with the champion's extended critical hit range. Additionally, the Piercer feat works with the trident, adding more damage with a critical hit. Furthermore, the Shield Master feat provides another way to push an opponent, potentially applying the prone condition. The Cloud Giant Goliath Evoker Wizard is named Korr. During most battles, she prefers to stand at a distance while launching damage-dealing spells at her enemies. She may attempt limited battlefield control with a concentration spell, such as Web or Summon Construct. If she will be trapped in melee or in another undesirable position, then she can use the feature of her Cloud Giant ancestry as a Goliath to teleport up to 30 feet as a bonus action without using a spell slot. For extra utility, the wizard probably will use her ritual spells, Find Familiar, and Phantom Steed. She has prepared herself with the Mage Armor spell, and already she has recovered this spell slot through her Arcane Recovery feature. Leading up to this point, Vona Navan and Clara Cloudburn have been students at the Spellsword Academy. As the first of 3 tests for graduating from the academy, they faced each other in a public duel. As their second test, they demonstrated their teamwork in a battle against the infamous draconic sorcerer Sebastian Drake and his summoned fire elemental. Now for the third and final test, the Paladin and the Cleric begin a quest to investigate where the sorcerer has gone and what he may be planning to do next. The current leader and head teacher at the Spellsword Academy is the Bladesinger wizard Salamunglo. Previously, she defeated the draconic sorcerer Sebastian Drake in a duel. She remembers that the sorcerer was one of 4 enforcers working for a ferocious fire-breathing red dragon. The Bladesinger and her companions faced all 4 of these enforcers, and eventually they defeated the adult red dragon in the dragon's volcano lair. After these events, the sorcerer and the other former enforcers of the dragon were not seen again until the sorcerer appeared at the Spellsword Academy to challenge the Bladesinger's 2 students, the Oath of Devotion Paladin and the Light Domain Cleric. The Bladesinger, Sailor Moonglow, suspects that her old nemesis, Sebastian Drake, has reconnected with the other former enforcers of the Red Dragon. Accordingly, the Bladesinger assigns her 2 students to investigate where the sorcerer has gone and what he may be planning to do next. If this quest will be successful, then the Paladin and the Cleric can fulfill their 3rd and final test to graduate from the Spellsword Academy. Looking at the scene of where the Paladin and the Cleric battled against the sorcerer, a clue becomes evident. During the battle, the sorcerer broke a tiny gem, summoning a fire elemental. The shards of this gem reveal that it must have come from only one possible geological origin in a remote desert region, known for its giant sandworms and hostile environment. Somehow, the sorcerer must be connected with this place. The Oath of Devotion Paladin Bonanavan and the Light Domain Cleric Clara Cloudburn make their preparations, rest overnight, and begin their journey of the next several days that will bring them through the woodlands, over the hills, and into the remote desert. Meanwhile, the draconic sorcerer Sebastian Drake has been moving along this route that indeed will bring him into the remote desert. During a brief rest at a roadside tavern and inn, the sorcerer overhears a conversation by 2 adventurers, expressing in hushed tones about their displeasure with the current state of affairs in the region. The champion fighter, Percy Jones, wonders if their lives would be better under the rule of the mighty fire-breathing dragon who once exerted its power over these lands. The Evoker Wizard, Korr, suggests that the 2 of them might seek out the former enforcers of the dragon, aiming to pledge their allegiance and form a new power structure. At an opportune moment, outside the tavern, the sorcerer reveals himself to these 2 adventurers, and he proposes that they can perform a simple task toward proving their worthiness to join the sorcerer and his group. The sorcerer knows that the Paladin and the Cleric have been following him from the Spellsword Academy. Ordinarily, he would wait and set an ambush along the roadside, but he prefers not to be slowed down at this time. If the fighter and the wizard can stop or at least delay these pursuers, then they may find roles for themselves working alongside the sorcerer and the other former enforcers of the Red Dragon. The next day at the roadside tavern, the Paladin Bonanavan and the Cleric Clara Cloudburn learn that someone matching the description of the sorcerer already passed through here. He was seen talking with 2 adventurers, apparently plotting something. The Paladin and the Cleric suspect danger along the road. They move cautiously. The fighter and the wizard found a spot near the road where they could hide behind cover, while waiting for the wizard's animal familiar to notify about anyone approaching along the road. The animal familiar, in the form of an owl, flies overhead. Soon enough, the encounter begins. The wizard rides out on her phantom steed to block the road. The fighter moves to block the other side. The owl familiar descends to assist. Immediately, the Paladin and the Cleric recognize that they are under attack. They prepare for a battle. The participants roll for initiative. The Owl Familiar wins this contest, and it will act first, followed by the Champion Fighter, then the Paladin, the Wizard, and at last the Cleric. The mounts are controlled mounts, and currently they act within the turns of the Paladin and the Wizard. In round 1, the Owl Familiar moves to distract the Paladin, effectively providing the help action for the fighter to gain advantage on one attack roll against this opponent. The champion fighter, Percy Jones, declares that he does not need magic to defeat his enemies, unlike these students from the Spellsword Academy. He moves 10 feet toward the Paladin, activating the Charger feat for an extra 1d8 of damage if the first attack will hit. The Light Domain Cleric uses her reaction to interpose her warding flare between the fighter and the Paladin. The Paladin gains 8 temporary hit points. The warding flare imposes disadvantage for the fighter, negating the advantage that was provided by the Owl Familiar. A regular attack roll with the trident is a natural 20 for a critical hit. The damage dice for the trident and for the Charger feat are doubled. The Piercer feat adds another 1d8. Another part of the Piercer feat allows to re-roll 1 damage die per turn, converting one result of 1 into 8. The critical hit in total produces 26 points of piercing damage. With the topple weapon mastery of the trident, the fighter attempts to knock the paladin prone. The paladin's constitution saving throw is not enough to succeed, and she does fall prone. I am interpreting that the paladin falls off her steed and lands prone on the ground. After the critical hit, the champion fighter immediately can use half of his speed to move without provoking an opportunity attack. In this case, he moves in such a manner as to charge 10 feet toward the paladin, thereby reactivating the charger feat. For the second attack, now against a prone target, the champion fighter rolls with advantage. The attack scores another critical hit. The strike brings a total of 29 points of piercing damage. The fighter decides to use his action surge for another 2 attacks with the trident. Striking again with advantage against the prone target, the result of 25 hits against the paladin's armor class of 17. The paladin suffers another 13 points of piercing damage. The final attack with the trident hits once more. The paladin suffers 11 points of piercing damage, and now she falls unconscious and technically incapacitated. During her turn, the Oath of Devotion paladin attempts a death saving throw. A result of 9 is a failure. The Evoker Wizard, Korr, proclaims that the power of the mighty fire-breathing red dragon still lives within herself. She casts Fireball. The Evoker can sculpt the fireball so that it will not affect her allies. While incapacitated, the paladin's protective aura does not function. She fails her dexterity saving throw against the fireball. Her otherworldly steed succeeds. The Cleric fails. The fireball produces 24 fire damage, reduced by half for the paladin's steed. The damage forces the paladin to fail a second death saving throw. One more failure will result in character death. The Light Domain Cleric, Clara Cloudburn, begins her turn with a bonus action to upcast Healing Word with a 3rd level spell slot. The paladin regains 19 hit points, and she no longer is at the edge of death. The cleric moves to attack the champion fighter. As part of the attack action with her spear, she casts the cantrip True Strike. The attack roll of 21 hits against the fighter's armor class of 21. The attack results in 13 radiant damage, plus another 1 radiant damage with the cleric's Blessed Strikes feature. At the end of round 1, the battle is not going well for the paladin and the cleric. However, they have not yet used their most powerful features, while their opponents have started to drain some of their own power resources. In round 2, the Owl Familiar moves to distract the cleric, granting advantage on the next attack roll against this opponent. The champion fighter jeers at the paladin while he strikes again with advantage against this prone target. The Light Domain Cleric once again interposes her warding flare. The paladin gains 13 temporary hit points. The fighter's advantage attack is negated by the disadvantage of the warding flare. A regular attack roll of 25 hits the target. It inflicts 15 piercing damage. The fighter's second attack gains advantage against the prone paladin. The attack hits. It delivers 13 piercing damage. The Oath of Devotion paladin barely has survived for now. She uses half of her movement to stand up from the prone condition, and she mounts onto her otherworldly steed without exiting the reach of the fighter's trident. As her action, the paladin casts Command against the champion fighter, commanding the fighter to flee. The fighter fails the wisdom saving throw. He will need to spend his next turn to obey the command to flee. The paladin instructs her steed to use its bonus action of its Fey Step to teleport with the paladin up to 60 feet, appearing in melee contact with the Evoker Wizard. As her own bonus action, the paladin heals herself with her Lay on Hands feature, using 35 of the pool of 40 healing. She reserves the final 5 healing points for a possible emergency. The Evoker Wizard, Korr, scoffs at the paladin. For the second time, she casts Fireball, sculpted to avoid herself and her phantom steed. The Paladin succeeds with the dexterity saving throw. Her otherworldly steed fails. The fireball generates 37 points of fire damage. The Paladin suffers only half of the damage. Her steed vanishes for now. The steed could be summoned back again at another time. The Evoker Wizard wants to move as far away as possible from the Paladin and the threat of a Divine Smite. She commands her Phantom Steed to disengage and move away, avoiding an opportunity attack by the Paladin. Next, the Wizard uses her own movement to dismount. As her bonus action, she draws on her Cloud Giant ancestry as a Goliath to teleport 30 feet. The Light Domain Cleric, Clara Cloudburn, cannot see the Wizard right now. She remains in melee contact with the fighter. As part of her attack action, the Cleric casts the cantrip True Strike. An attack roll of 23 hits. The attack produces 12 radiant damage, plus another 6 radiant damage with the Cleric's Blessed Strikes feature. As a bonus action, the Light Cleric casts Spiritual Weapon, and she attempts one attack against the fighter. The attack roll of 14 is not enough to hit against the fighter's armor class of 21. At the end of round 2, the Evoker Wizard, Korr, feels confident that she can manage with the Paladin, yet she is uncertain of what the Cleric may be able to do. Moreover, she is uncertain about how effective the champion fighter could be during these next rounds of the battle. In round 3, the Owl Familiar uses its action to dash toward the Wizard. The champion fighter, Percy Jones, must use his turn to obey the Paladin's previous command to flee. While the fighter moves away, the Cleric attempts an opportunity attack. With her Warcaster feat, she can cast True Strike with her spear. The attack roll of 19 misses. The fighter continues to flee, using his dash action to move 60 feet. The Oath of Devotion Paladin, Vonanavan, moves in the direction toward where the Wizard had gone. As a bonus action, she uses her once-per-day free casting of Misty Step as a High Elf without using a spell slot to teleport 30 feet closer to the Wizard. At this distance from the Wizard, the Paladin decides to cast Command, attempting to force the Wizard to grovel. The Wizard succeeds with the Wisdom saving throw. She will be unaffected by the command spell. The Evoker Wizard, Korr, chuckles aloud, amused that the Paladin so easily was drawn into her trap. For the third time, she casts Fireball, sculpting the magic to affect only the Paladin. The Paladin fails her dexterity saving throw. She suffers the full amount of 22 fire damage. Once again, the Paladin drops to 0 hit points. The Wizard uses her movement to approach and mount onto her Phantom Steed. She commands the steed to move into a different position where the Wizard can see both the Cleric and the Paladin. The Light Domain Cleric, Clara Cloudburn, suspects that the Wizard probably would use a counterspell against the Cleric's Scorching Ray, Fireball, or another major debilitating spell. In this case, the Cleric moves closer to the Wizard. She uses her interaction with an object to stow away her spear. As part of an attack action, she draws a javelin to throw at the Wizard while casting the cantrip True Strike. The result of 26 hits against the Wizard armor class of 15, and it is too high for the Wizard to block with a shield spell. The True Strike delivers 13 radiant damage, and the Blessed Strikes feature adds 2 radiant damage. The Cleric estimates that she is barely within range of the Paladin to use a bonus action for upcasting Healing Word with a 3rd level spell slot. The Wizard retains no more of her 3rd level spell slots, and she is unwilling to expend a 4th level spell slot to counterspell the Healing Word. The Paladin regains 21 hit points. Once again, she escapes from the edge of death. At the end of round 3, this battle still could go in any direction. The Paladin has struggled so far, yet perhaps inadvertently, she caused the fighter and the Wizard to expend most of their deadliest power resources. In round 4, the Owl Familiar moves toward the center of the battle area near the Wizard. The Owl uses the Dodge action. The champion fighter, Percy Jones, uses his action to dash back toward the battle. He knows that he will be within reach of the Cleric's spiritual weapon, and he dismissively laughs away this puny threat. As a bonus action, the fighter uses his second wind feature. He regains 12 hit points. The Oath of Devotion Paladin, Vona Navan, uses all of her movement to stand up and approach toward the wizard. As a bonus action, she uses a second-level spell slot to cast Misty Step, now teleporting into melee contact with the wizard. As part of her attack action, the Paladin uses her Channel Divinity with her Sacred Weapon feature. The Sacred Weapon Longsword strikes at the wizard. The roll of a natural 20 scores a critical hit. The attack delivers 17 slashing damage. The Sap Weapon Mastery will impose disadvantage on the wizard's next attack roll. The Paladin's second attack roll of 24 hits against the wizard's armor class of 15, the result of 2 highs to be blocked by a shield spell. The dice roll is not showing here, but it produces 6 piercing damage. The Evoker Wizard, Korr, may not be able to survive for much longer. She needs to do something dramatic. She dismounts from her phantom steed. She casts Polymorph on herself, transforming into a Tyrannosaurus Rex. The mighty creature stomps on the ground and releases a terrible roar, causing the earth and the trees to tremble. The Light Domain Cleric, Clara Cloudburn, has been an advanced student at the Spellsword Academy, and she knows about the strengths and weaknesses of this polymorph spell. The Cleric upcasts Scorching Ray with a 3rd-level spell slot, sending 4 beams of fire into the Tyrannosaurus Rex. The first Scorching Ray scores a critical hit. It causes 10 fire damage. The wizard attempts a Constitution saving throw to maintain concentration on the polymorph spell. The roll is with the dinosaur's statistics, and it succeeds. The second Scorching Ray hits again. It inflicts only 4 points of fire damage. Another Constitution saving throw succeeds. The polymorph spell continues. The third Scorching Ray hits once more. It generates 5 fire damage. The Constitution saving throw fails. The wizard cannot maintain concentration on the polymorph spell. She reverts back into her original form. The fourth Scorching Ray hits with a 21 against the wizard's armor class of 15. The attack roll is too high to be blocked by a shield spell. The wizard suffers 4 fire damage, now with only 3 hit points remaining. As a bonus action, the cleric moves her spiritual weapon to attack the fighter. The attack roll of 12 misses the target. The fighter ridicules the cleric's ineffectiveness against him. At the end of round 4, the wizard knows that she cannot survive another round of attacks. The paladin and the cleric retain their most devastating power resources with the paladin's divine smite and the cleric's 4th level spell slots. In round 5, the owl familiar obeys a command to land on the wizard's phantom steed. The wizard calls out for the champion fighter to flee to safety while still possible. Begrudgingly, the fighter agrees, noting that he always will remember how he struck down the paladin within a single opening round of combat. At another time, he may yet do so again. The champion fighter, Percy Jones, uses his action to dash and flee away into the wilderness. The paladin knows that she could use a lethal or non-lethal blow to render the wizard unconscious. Instead, though, she casts the command spell for the wizard to grovel, aiming to keep the opponent conscious and under control. The wizard succeeds with the wisdom saving throw. She will be unaffected by the command spell. The Evoker Wizard, Evoker, mounts onto her phantom steed. She commands her steed to disengage and move away. The cleric advises to allow these 2 foes to move away for now. She encourages to maintain focus on the primary mission in pursuit of the draconic sorcerer, Sebastian Drake. The Oath of Devotion Paladin, Vona Navan, and the Light Domain Cleric, Clara Cloudburn, together have won this Nemesis Battle. Based on what they learned at the roadside tavern, and from the taunting words of their opponents during the course of this battle, they can infer that the sorcerer Sebastian Drake has been recruiting people to work with him. The paladin and the cleric still will need several days with their journey in pursuit of the sorcerer, apparently moving along a route through the woodlands, over the hills, and into the remote desert. Our story will continue in the next episodes of Nemesis Battles. For now, in the comment section, please share your ideas and suggestions about what could have happened differently and what could happen next. As always, thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video.